And for the main event, we here, man. Come on. Like we said, we've been hyping up the man, the ninja, number 10 ranked Giga Chikadze. However, this is a tough one, AJ, because number 9 ranked Edson Barboza is the minus 115 favorite and minus 105 comeback for Giga Chikadze, man. These are two of my favorite fighters in this division, so it's always going to be tough to look at this unbiased. However, I'm just a fan of just the matchup in general because this is like even a casual fan, a hardcore fan. It pleases everybody, man. This is some of the highest level striking you're going to see, and I need to ask you straight off the bat, AJ, do you think Giga Chikadze? Obviously, we've been singing the man's praises for quite some time now, but do you think that there's potentially a little bit of overhyping that is coming with him, especially because he just landed the Giga kick on Cub Swanson and got him out of there? Because Edson Barboza, like, this is kind of like Jose Aldo versus Pedro Munoz, where I'm just like, you know who you're fighting, dog? Like, I get it, Munoz, you're a beast, but this is Jose Aldo. This is how I feel about Barboza versus Chikadze. What do you think?
A little bit. I agree with you a little bit on that one. I definitely think the media has done its job on this one, man. And everybody, including us, from all the other MMA sources out there, they have been hyping up Giga for quite a while now, man. And don't get me wrong, Giga's been putting the work in. He absolutely deserves it. But Edson Barboza is a hell of a challenge on this one. I kind of wish Giga would have taken the Sugar Show approach on this one and fought someone else real quick before he started building up to these absolute killers. Cause man, Edson Barboza, this dude, like, you want to talk about somebody who we all thought kind of fell off this scene and was kind of on that downhill decline, but then came back and just started starching people. Maybe not starching people, getting the actual finish on them, but hurting these dudes in the cage. And really, I mean, the Shane Burgos fight where Edson Barboza is just bleeding from the leg but still throwing kicks left and right, that spoke all you needed to hear about how mentally in the game Edson Barboza is. I definitely this one's going to be a lot of fun. My question to you, Derek, would you rather take Edson Barboza's switch kick to the dome or a Giga kick to the liver? Both of them are absolutely dangerous. Which one would you rather take?
I think I'm going to take the Barboza kick to the dome. And the reason why is because that one at least detach you from your consciousness. With Chikadze, you got to feel that liver shot all the way down. Your body just goes into paralysis. And you know what I'm saying? You feeling it the whole time. I would not want to get hit by either one of these men, which is what makes this fight so exciting because both of them, they throw at a high clip. Both of them are almost the same. 3.5 significant strikes for Chikadze, about 4 for Barboza. And what's crazy, they both throw at a 44% clip. You know what I'm saying? With a striking defense at almost the same, 59% for Barboza, 60% for Chikadze, man, which is crazy to me. Don't worry about the takedowns in this one, folks. And then lastly, takedown defense, 78% for Barboza, 68% for Giga Chikadze. They're almost identical in these statistics. However, there's one big difference that I'm going to see here, AJ, and it's hard not to notice it. Edson Barboza is chiseled like a Greek god, you know what I'm saying? The man is stacked. Giga Chikadze has a very, how would you say, it's just like you wouldn't really tell how great he is by looking at his body. I don't know what the correct word
Unassuming.
There you go. Unassuming, man. Like, you look at the man, you're like, who is this guy? Tall, 6 foot, lanky dude? No, man. This dude's got real power, real pop, real kickboxing. And that's what I wanted to ask you, man. Do you think that the physicality, once again, is going to play into factor here? Because if Edson Barboza decides, I want to make things close a little bit, I want to clinch it up, I have a feeling he'd be able to just outpower Chikadze. I mean, Jamal Emmers, he's very ripped, but he's not the biggest dude, was able to just pick up Chikadze and put him on his back. No problem. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Barboza has the power advantage going forward in this one. And what scares me most, or what should be scary most about Edson Barboza, is his hands are getting better. Okay. We always knew him as a kicker. We always knew him, this dude's, he's in it for the war. But his hands are getting crisp, and his striking is getting next level, and he's really able to slow the game down and see things coming forward. So he's a very dangerous opponent, well-rounded. And yeah, I mean, I think that unassumingness that Giga has could be a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, you could either think like, bro, this dude, he's lanky, he's not in it, but he does have that wiry strength and the technique to match it. So I definitely think that Barboza, like I said, he has the power advantage going forward. He also might have like the technique advantage, but Giga has this like crazy way of putting his fight together. if Giga's fighting his fight, things are going very, very well for him. Even if he does get slammed on his head, like you said, by Jamal Emmers, he's still able to turn things around. So I don't know. It's gonna be a fun one either way.
Well, I will say that I think that Giga Chikadze clearly has a footwork advantage in this one, man. That's what makes his game so dangerous. Is he's a switch fighter, right? He'll go southpaw, orthodox, switch it back and forth 5 times before just setting you up with different looks and whatnot. Where Edson Barboza is much more of a, I want to stand in the middle of the cage and I want to methodically just throw that leg kick, throw the body kick, hit you with the punches. You know, the kicks are a big part of his game, and I do say that he does wane as the fight goes on, as does every fighter, but he does it a little more noticeably than most other fighters. However, even though his speed falls off, the power never does. We saw it with Shane Burgos, man, where he just landed, I think it was like a right hook on like the temple of Burgos, and Burgos was just looking at him like, you know what I'm saying? Until he completely just fell back in that delayed knockout, man. So I think that this is going to be obviously a fun fight, man. But my thing is that, like, the thing that worries me is because of the skill of Giga Chikadze, will he be able to set traps and play games with Barboza and set him up for that liver kick? Or do you think Barboza, like, the experience is a large factor here, man? Barboza has 31 career fights, 16-9 in the UFC against a killer's row of opposition in both the featherweight and the did he move down from lightweight to featherweight, or did he go from bantamweight to featherweight?
I'm not sure.
I think. Oh no! So he went from 155 to 145 because he was fighting like Justin Gaethje and Paul Felder. Okay, so he went from 155 to 145, right? So, like, with all of that being said, man, the level of fighters that this man has fought is ridiculous, as opposed to Giga Chikadze has more or less had. I mean, besides a couple of names, a couple of, like, you know, those are some fighters, but it's not the same level. There's just levels to this thing, man. So Edson Barboza, now he's 2-1 at featherweight. He's a Taekwondo black belt, BJJ brown belt, all that good stuff. But Giga Chikadze, I need to know this answer from you. Do you think, because he made the statement, he made it very confidently and definitively, and I almost believe him in a way. He says that there's MMA striking, like Edson Barboza is really good at, and then there's striking. And I honestly, this is what he said. He was like, I honestly don't see any place this fight can go where I don't win. Like he said it just so matter-of-factly and plainly. And he says just ultimately he's a kickboxer, man. He comes from real striking, you know, not MMA striking. So he's saying that he'll be able to just outclass Edson Barboza. And I can kind of almost believe it because Barboza isn't the most technical, you know what I mean? He's more of a stand in front of you and just use that power to his advantage, that speed and all that, as opposed to hitting and not getting hit, because Barboza does get hit. But Chikadze gets hit as well. But do you think Chikadze is it's true in that sentiment where he just thinks he's just overall a better striker than Barboza?
I agree with the sentiment that there's MMA striking and then there's striking. And we saw the best case of this is by far 100% the last style bender, Israel Adesanya, when coming from his kickboxing background and the way he's able to fluidly put together strikes, kicks, punches, and the timing that he's able to gauge off these people. Next level. Giga does the same exact thing, man. His timing's impeccable. His footwork, like you noted, is absolutely on point. And the way he's able to put these combos together really is what sets up the trap. It's not a normal trap that he's setting up where he's feigning you in and then hitting you with that leg kick, man. He's throwing a bunch of different stuff at you that then ends up kicking you in the stomach and you didn't see it at all come. I do think the biggest downfall to him, though, is like you were saying before, man, there's a difference between MMA striking and regular striking. And the difference is that MMA, they can always take you to the ground. Mm-hmm. And with that extra little bit in there, I don't know if Barboza is going to implement that strategy going forward. But that little bit of thought in your back of the head that I can always get picked up and slammed on my head has to go into play. And again, we saw it happen to the style bender where Jan Blachowicz was able just to hold him down and put it to him like that. I definitely think that's where those MMA striking can kind of have a little bit of a more of an advantage in at least MMA. Whereas if you're just striking, it's just a striking battle. There is far above levels to that one than the MMA striking going forward. So I agree with the sentiment. I think the one spot that Giga doesn't have or that he could lose the fight in is the calf kicks. Mm-hmm. If Edson Barboza just starts spamming calf kicks left and right, he's a crazy fighter where Edson Barboza doesn't even check his own calf kicks. He's just like, whatever, bro. Like, I'm good. These things are iron down there. I don't need to check anything, but he will throw him back even if it's bleeding. But as far as if Giga can win in any place, it's going to be interesting to see. What do you think?
One thing that I did want to make note of is, I mean, I agree with you with the calf kicks and all that stuff, but this could play out like another fight that we saw recently, and I'm blanking on the names right now, but Giga Chikadze is perfectly content with touching you up over the course of 3 rounds. Barboza sits down on his shot, so that's what worries me, is that when Barboza loads up, even though he's lightning quick, man, it's so hard to time him because he's so quick, but he's lightning quick, and if he sits down on the shot, then is that when Giga says, okay, you want to sit down? I'm just going to get out the way. Pop, 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 pop. Get it back out the way. You know what I'm saying? Shane Burgos was able to really touch up Barboza's body in the second and third rounds of their last fight. And that's what concerns me, because we know one thing about Chikadze is that he's going to hit you to the body to set you up for the head, or he's going to hit you to the head to set you up for the body. It's one of two things, man. The hands aren't what you need to concern yourself with for Chikadze as much as you do for his kicks, man. But Barboza, you said it yourself. He's getting nice with the hands. And so he's got the hands, he's got the kicks, and he's got the overall physicality, he's got the experience advantage, all of these things that want to make you signal that he's going to win. But then again, man, that's what makes Giga so dangerous, because not only is he very accomplished in his own right, he's also training under Rafael Cordero at King's MMA, which is very important. However, Barboza coming out of American Top Team, so this is going to be one of those good camp grudge matches right there. What is the X factor here, AJ? Before I talk about notable wins and we give our picks, what's the X factor to whoever gets the victory in this matchup to you?
Man, that's a very hard question, because I would say the X factor going forward would be the ground game for both these guys, but I don't think we're going to see a ground game coming forward. Really, what I think the X factor, at least for Barboza, if he's going to get the win, it's going to be dominance. It's going to not be letting Giga get on his game, get kind of feeling that flow that we always talk about, not letting that happen, and really putting the dominance of I'm the more experienced fighter going forward, and I'm just going to dominate from round 1 to round 5, wherever the fight goes. This is going to be my ring. I live here. You're a guest. You better take your shoes off. Where if it's for Giga, man, it's going to be that exact thing we're talking about, where Edson Barboza, he does like to sit on it. And if Giga can get that timing of Edson Barboza really sitting down on his shot and then he clacks him with the left to the head, that's where it's really going to be. So I think the mental game for Giga going forward, that's going to be his X factor of I need to really not necessarily think on my shots, but get the timing and get the motion and get, like I said, the flow going forward, where I'm able just to time a perfect head kick or a perfect body kick, one of those shots that you don't see coming. So I think it's the mental for Giga, really the game plan, the fortitude of staying in the game plan and staying in the flow, where if it's for Edson, he needs to be the bully in this fight going forward. What's your X factors?
So my X factor for this matchup specifically comes down to one category, and that's what it is like to be in an absolute war and survive and win. Or even if you lose, not get finished. And Edson Barboza has done that time and time again. He's done that against Paul Felder, where he lost a very controversial split decision. But it was, man, that was war. That was like Rory McDonald versus Robbie Lawler style, where that was absolutely to the trenches, war, bloody messes, all that. We saw that in Shane Burgos' fight, man, where he's going all 3 rounds. Even when it looked like Burgos was putting it on Barboza and he was starting to take over, all it takes is one from Barboza, because that power transcends all 3 rounds. So Giga Chikadze at the highest level in the UFC has not had to go through those wars. More or less, he's surgically picking apart his people, you know what I'm saying? But if Barboza makes it a war because he's almost non-human in the way that he could take punishment sometimes, that's when it's going to be interesting. When Giga Chikadze lands the Giga kick and Barboza doesn't fall over, then what happens? That's the question that we have to ask, because I think it's possible. Even though, listen, man, you hit that liver the right way, everybody is going down. That's not even a question. But nonetheless, it's like when you hit somebody with your best shot and they're like, all right, what's up? That's it? That's all you got? Then you start to think, like, what do I got to do to get this guy out of there, man? So Barboza, his experience, I think that's going to be the X factor in this matchup. And it's a different kind of experience, because Giga is very experienced in his own right. But this is just a different level of experience against the highest opposition in the world in mixed martial arts. So lastly, let me talk notable wins, and then we'll give our picks, and then we'll move on to the fight of the night. So for Giga, we got Brandon Davis, who is actually people sleep on him, man. That is a big win. He has a split decision win over Brandon Davis, though, right? He has a unanimous decision win against Omar Morales, who is also legit, man. That's a big win. And then that TK over Cub Swanson, which is, Giga kick, got him out of there. But come on, Edson Barboza. We got a knockout win over Dan Hooker, knockout win over Benny Dariush. Come on, bro. What are we talking about there? Unanimous decision win over Paul Felder in their first fight, and unanimous decision win over Bobby King fucking green. Come on, bro. It's hard to get those dudes out of there like that, man. And for Barboza to do it, it just goes to show, especially because all of those fights were at 155 pounds. So now you're going to 145 and you're saying, all right, I could put a little extra on these people, you know? So it's going to be fun, man. And I think fireworks are almost guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed in MMA, but I think fireworks are absolutely guaranteed. In this one, now give me your pick and why, AJ.
Man, yeah, this one is a hard fight going forward. Like I said, I kind of wish Giga would have taken a little bit easier of opponent. I know there's not an easy opponent in the UFC, but Edson Barboza is an absolute killer in the ring and only getting better. And it's crazy. He's like Jose Aldo, one of those fighters that the older they get, they starting to cut down to smaller weight classes and they get better. They're getting more technical. But even all that said, man, I'm going Giga by decision. I think it's going to be a war. I think he is in store for one of those fights we haven't really seen yet. But I think this one's going to be a really fun one, man. A striking battle back and forth. One of those fights that I love to watch. And I know the fans out there love to watch it. This one is going to be a banger of a fight. I'm going Giga Chikadze by decision. Who you got, Derek, and why?
All right, so Giga, if you're watching this, all love, brother, but I gotta go with my guy, Edson Barboza, man. We've been hyping up Giga the Ninja for so long because I do believe firmly in my heart, without a doubt, that Chikadze is going to be a future champion in the featherweight division. If not the featherweight division, maybe he moves down to bantamweight and maybe he can get something going there. Nonetheless, I gotta go with my guy, Edson Barboza, and I'm taking the same approach that I did when I picked Jose Aldo over Pedro Munoz. Everybody loves the new hot commodity, the new thing on the block, the new thing that's supposed to be taking over MMA, but you forget about the tried, the true, the time-tested Edson Barboza and what he's been able to accomplish time after time after time. Even the same way as Jose Aldo had a little losing streak, then popped right back up. These dudes are fighting the best in the world. So for that reason, I think Edson Barboza, he's gonna like, when you hit him, it's probably gonna be like hitting concrete, man. You know what I'm saying? The man is tough, he's durable, he's got so much power, so much speed, and those calf kicks are gonna be a real problem because all it takes are one or two to get that leg really compromised from an Edson Barboza. So I'm going a decision victory for Edson Barboza. I almost wanted to go with TKO because I think that power might be a little bit too much. However, I think Giga is game, and I think he'll be able to have a really great showing. Both of their stocks, I do believe, will rise at the end of this fight. But if Edson Barboza definitively gets a win or a finish over Giga Chikadze, I think that puts him up into the top 5 of the featherweight division and has him knocking on the door for a title shot. Because even though Giga isn't the big name, I think people do truly respect, if you're a fan, like the fans fan, like, you know what I mean, the hardcores, they truly respect the skill, the striking capabilities Chikadze brings to the table. But like I said, don't be mad, brother. Edson Barboza, we go on unanimous decision victory or some type of, decision. I think it goes to a judge's decision. But nonetheless, that is the main card, folks. So listen, man, it's going to be a fun one. Definitely tune in.